GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good night, Montreal.
The Quebec government announced on Tuesday that it will authorize a temporary expansion at the Terrebonne landfill, the province's largest waste site located north of Montreal. Under the emergency measure, the height of the garbage piles will be raised to extend the operating capacity of the site. Officials say the landfill is projected to reach full capacity within a year, prompting the need for an immediate increase in storage volume. As Quebec's biggest landfill, Terrebonne processes waste from across the province, making its continued operation critical for regional waste management. The height increase is slated to begin later this week and will remain in effect only until the facility can implement a longer-term solution. The temporary raise is expected to buy the site several months of additional storage before a permanent plan is finalized. Provincial regulators will monitor the operation to ensure compliance with environmental standards throughout the temporary period.
Yesterday, a sweltering heat wave pushed humidex readings to near record levels across the province, with the index climbing to 44 in the island and 42 in the capital. Meteorologists say the high-temperature ridge that spawned the wave remains anchored over eastern Canada, keeping temperatures and humidity elevated through Thursday and beyond. Health officials have issued advisories urging residents to stay hydrated, limit outdoor activity during peak heat, and check on vulnerable neighbors. Schools in the island's western boroughs have canceled afternoon outdoor recess, while several municipal pools are operating extended hours to provide relief. Power companies report increased demand as air conditioner use spikes, and the grid is being closely monitored. The heat wave, which has also spread to neighboring provinces and the Maritimes, is expected to linger as long as the atmospheric pattern holds.
Police officers from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police executed a raid this morning on a residence in the city, targeting an alleged migrant smuggling operation. The operation resulted in 2 arrests, an individual identified as a suspected smuggler and a migrant who had been brought to the property. Investigators said the raid was part of a broader effort to dismantle networks that facilitate illegal entry and transport of people through the region. Authorities have not released further details about the identities of those detained or the specific charges they face. The RCMP confirmed that additional lines of inquiry are underway, and that the seized premises will be examined for evidence linking the suspects to other cases. This action follows a series of recent probes aimed at curbing clandestine migration activities within the city.
Violent thunderstorms are tearing through the greater Montreal area, and utility crews warn that more than 130,000 households will lose electricity later today. The storms have already knocked down trees and down power lines, leaving the grid vulnerable across the metropolitan region. Engineers say the damage could keep lights out for several hours, with some neighborhoods in the Plateau and Myland expected to be among the hardest hit. Residents are being urged to conserve any remaining power and keep refrigerators closed until service is restored. The city's Emergency Operations Center is monitoring the situation and will coordinate with Hydro-Quebec to prioritize critical facilities such as hospitals and transit hubs. Updates will be provided as crews assess the damage and work to bring power back online promptly.
The Canadians sealed a 3-year extension with netminder Jacob Dobies today, keeping the 25-year-old check between the pipes through the 2029 season. Dobies, who assumed the starting role last campaign, earned the contract after posting solid numbers and steady play that helped the club stabilize its defensive core. The agreement announced at the Bell Centre ties the young goaltender to the franchise for the next 3 seasons, reinforcing the team's long-term plans in goal. General manager Kent Hughes praised Dobies' composure and growth, noting the club's confidence in his ability to lead the crease. The deal also contains performance bonuses linked to playoff berths and a no-move clause that prevents a trade without the goaltender's consent. The extension arrives as Montreal looks to build around a core of homegrown talent and veteran presence, hoping the stability at the position will translate into deeper playoff runs.
Later we'll see how Montreal is tackling post-moving day trash overflow, and I'll keep you posted on that. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back. That was a great look at the story, and now Rachel Reid has the local news you need to hear.
City officials say the streets are littered with growing piles of discarded furniture, appliances, and boxes in the days after July 1st moving day. The surge of waste, typical after the annual relocation weekend, has overwhelmed regular collection routes, prompting the municipality to deploy additional trucks and extend curbside pickup hours. Residents are being urged to use designated drop-off sites that have been opened across Montreal, including community centers and recycling depots, where bulky items can be sorted for reuse or proper disposal. The city's waste management department has also announced temporary street-side collection points staffed by crews who will clear overflow before it blocks sidewalks or creates hazards for pedestrians. The effort is ongoing, and officials will monitor the situation throughout the week to ensure that the excess does not impede traffic or compromise public cleanliness.
71 families continue to live in a downtown hotel as temporary shelter, a situation that city officials say has doubled since last year. Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada confirmed the count remains unchanged today, underscoring the ongoing challenge of finding permanent homes for households displaced by recent relocations. The municipal program places families in hotel rooms while longer-term solutions are pursued, meaning dozens of parents are juggling school schedules, work shifts, and childcare within a hospitality setting. Social services staff are on site to provide assistance, but the lack of stable housing adds pressure to everyday routines. Local schools have adjusted enrollment plans to accommodate children staying in the hotel, while nearby clinics report an uptick in appointments related to stress and health concerns. City leaders acknowledge the strain and say they are monitoring the situation closely, hoping to reduce the number of households still awaiting permanent placement.
Tomorrow, Equip Jeunesse will launch a citywide clothing drive that runs through July 4th, inviting residents to drop off garments and essential supplies for youth and others in precarious situations. Organizers say the collection will support local charities that anticipate a surge in homelessness as the peak moving season gets underway. Drop-off points will be set up at community centers, schools, and places of worship across Montreal, making it easy for anyone to contribute. Volunteers plan to sort and distribute donations to partner organizations that serve families, students, and people experiencing housing instability. The initiative aims to bolster the safety net before the seasonal influx of displaced residents strains existing services. Participants can expect a well-organized effort with clear signage and guidance provided at each location. The drive will be advertised through local media and social networks, encouraging broader, generous participation.
CF Montreal will add Venezuelan midfielder Danny Pereira to its roster today, after his departure from Austin FC. The former MLS Superdraft first overall pick spent 6 seasons with the Austin side, establishing himself as a creative presence in midfield. Club officials said the signing bolsters the squad ahead of the upcoming campaign and offers fans a fresh spark on the pitch. Pereira, who made his mark with precise passing and an eye for goal, joins a roster looking to improve its attacking options. The move also reflects Montreal's strategy of attracting proven MLS talent. Fans can expect to see him in training this week, with his debut likely slated for the first home game of the season. The addition promises to give the team more depth as the league intensifies.
Health officials reported that the measles outbreak in Quebec has climbed to 27 confirmed cases as of today. The majority of infections are traced to the Quebec City region, with investigators also pinpointing new exposure sites to the west of the city. The disease, which spreads through respiratory droplets, remains active, and health authorities continue to advise anyone who has not been vaccinated to seek immunization promptly. Schools and childcare centers in the affected zones have been alerted, and contact tracing teams are working to identify additional contacts. Residents traveling to or from the identified neighborhoods are being asked to monitor for fever, rash, or other symptoms and to report them to their family physician. The provincial health director emphasized that containment efforts are ongoing and that public health resources are being mobilized to curb further transmission.
And now, CJ, give us a quick look at what the night holds for our city.
A stagnant high-pressure ridge blocks the western jet, forcing a lingering tropical moisture plume into Montreal tonight. Montreal's archives don't list a specific record high or low for the 2nd of July, so we can't point to a single extreme. What we do know is that July normally swings between low teens and mid-30s. The all-time heat peak for the city sits at 39 degrees, set in July of 2005, while the coldest July night ever recorded dipped to 15 degrees back in 1974. Those benchmarks remind us that today's 24-degree night sits comfortably in the middle of the historical range. The radar loop shows a broad band of echo hugging the St. Lawrence corridor, centered over the island as we speak. The core intensified around 10 p.m. and is now spilling eastward toward the suburbs, moving at roughly 15 kilometers per hour with the low-level jet. Expect the heaviest cells to brush downtown for the next hour, then thin out as the band drifts into the countryside. At 11, Montreal sits under a thick rain shield, temperature 23 degrees, humidity near 80%, and a light southerly breeze gusting up to 25 kilometers per hour. A near-average high-pressure ridge sits to the north, holding steady, while a fast western jet stream arches overhead at roughly 108 kilometers per hour, steering moist Atlantic air into the region. That moisture pulse collided with the lingering ridge this evening, producing the heavy showers we're experiencing. With the ridge remaining in place and the jet shifting slightly northward, the rain will taper off within the next 90 minutes, leaving a damp but stable night. Winds will stay modest through midnight, then gradually build toward the southwest, reaching a maximum of 46 kilometers per hour by early morning. The UV index reads 7. No weather alerts are active. Friday opens under a building high-pressure dome, delivering clear skies and a high of 31 degrees with a low near 21. The ridge will weaken Saturday, allowing a slow influx of marine air that brings overcast conditions and a cooler high of 29 degrees, low 19. Sunday follows the same pattern, overcast and steady, with temperatures holding at 29 high and 19 low as the moisture lingered. Monday's atmosphere remains dominated by the lingering cloud deck, keeping highs at 28 and lows at 19, a modest dip that signals the end of the weekend's warm spell. By Tuesday, the ridge re-establishes, clearing the sky for mainly clear conditions and a rebound to 29 degrees high and 20 low, setting the stage for a milder end to the week. And that's your weather. Remember, the wrap is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll check this morning's traffic snarls, preview today's downtown chamber spotlight, and catch the latest on our Canadians in season. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
Canadians news, a trade, a tribute, and a goalie with a point to prove. Jacob Dobies has a new contract, but money is not what motivates him. The Montreal Canadiens goaltender says his focus remains squarely on proving himself in net and helping his team win, coming off what Sportsnet describes as a strong playoff run. A chapter has closed in Montreal. The Canadiens have traded forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations. According to CBC Sports, the deal is done, ending Gallagher's run with the only NHL franchise he ever called home. Before his trade to Vancouver was announced, Brendan Gallagher received a remarkable honor. The city of Montreal named him an honorary citizen with a ceremony held at City Hall. A fitting tribute to a player who gave everything to this city, according to CBC Sports.
The Afro-Monde Festival rolls back into the Milan streets this Saturday, the 6th of August, and will linger through the 9th, turning a quiet corner of Montreal into a 4-day feast for the senses. Local chefs from across the province line the cobblestones, their grills puffing clouds of smoked paprika and sweet mango, while young drummers set up beside the cafes, their rhythms echoing off the historic brick facades. I walked past a family table where a grandmother taught her granddaughter to fold samosas, the dough trembling under careful hands, and a nearby stage lit up as a Senegalese vocalist lifted the crowd into a chorus that stretched from the plateau to the St. Lawrence River. The buzz of conversation, the clatter of plates, the pulse of drums, all blend into a single, joyous heartbeat. By the final night, the community gathers under a canopy of lanterns, sharing stories as easily as they share the last bite of caramel-spiced plantain. It's a reminder that Montreal's spirit shines brightest when we come together, food and music in hand, to celebrate each other.
On the corner of St. Laurent and St. Denis, a modest 3-bedroom walk-up that has sat empty for months became the unexpected stage for a small but hopeful shift in Montreal's rental market. The building's owner, a longtime landlord named Monsieur Boissé-Chéard, had been vocal about refusing to lower rents even as city officials tally a vacancy count of 25,000 units. That stance changed after a meeting in his modest office, where a group of tenants from the nearby community association presented a handwritten pledge, a promise to maintain their homes and share a modest, collaborative garden on the rooftop if the rent were trimmed by a few %. The moment the agreement was signed, the scent of fresh herbs rose from the balcony, and a young couple who had been on the brink of moving out stayed, their laughter echoing through the hallway as they set up a tiny dining table. It was a concrete reminder that dialogue, even in a market strained by high prices, can turn vacant spaces into lived-in homes. Montreal's housing challenges remain, but tonight we saw how a simple act of compromise can brighten a neighborhood, one apartment at a time.
Thanks for joining us, Montreal. Tonight we saw the Canadiens secure goalie Jacob Dobies with a 3-year extension, a big win for the club. Stay tuned for tomorrow's headlines, and as always, we'll bring you the stories that matter most. See you then and keep safe out there.